찾아볼게.
여기는 제 친구 집에 있는 쇼핑몰이에요.
오케이, turn this up. Okay, I got the question.
My future is bright as before.
Ah, nice morning. Just so morning.
대리아한테 연락 왔는데
집으로?
대리아가 남자친구가 어제 캐럿 케이크를
그래,
만들었대.
집에 가서 그래.
그래가지고 캐럿 케이크 먹고 싶으면 집으로 와서 커피 준대.
가자.
자, 여러분 안녕. 오늘 좀 뒹굴뒹굴 하고 있는데 저희 여기 살고 있는 친구가 당근 케이크 구워놨다. 우리 집으로 먹으러 오지 않겠냐 문자가 왔어요. 그럼 어떡해?
접시에 가자.
우리 또 바로 가지. 여행이나 아니면 외국에 오래 체류하게 되면 가장 문제가 향수병이 아닐까.
향수병 안 하지.
근데 자기는 향수병 없지. 힘들어지는 이유가
외로움 아닐까? 친구,
맞아.
자기
그것도
일. 그런 거
그렇겠다.
극복하려면 친구나 자기가
남아도는 시간.
몰두할 수 있는 일.
몰두할 게 없으면은 외로움이 찾아오지.
어.
그리고 음식도 또 한 몫을 할 것 같아. 음식이 안 맞으면 좀 그것도 향수병이 생기잖아. 항상 사람들이 여행하다 보면 한국 들어가 뭐 먹을 거야 막 이러니까.
하나.
그래서 저희는 항상 미니밥솥, 미니쿠커 항상 가거든요.
그 전설 밥솥.
그죠. 그래서 항상 밥을 해 먹고 한 달 살기는 뭐가 목적성이 뚜렷하지 않으면 되게 좀 지루해지고
줄여지지.
외로워지더라고요.
밤에 외로워지지.
그래서 오늘의 토크의 주제는 향수병. 근데 저는 항상 한 달이 되면 조금 무기력해지고 또 외롭다고 그럴까?
한 달이 약간 위기지.
근데 이제 한 달에 저는 지나고 나면 또 조금 극복하는 스타일이에요. 그러면 이제 괜찮아지고 이분은 이제 저 쨍쨍 한번 보시고 그렇습니다.
향수병 그런 거 없어. 바빠.
왜 10이야 갑자기?
10이야? 왜 갑자기 10이야? 39번인데? 이거 괜찮네? 잠시만. 아 맞다. 저리 가야지 저리. 맞다.
근데 이번에는 제가 사실 지난번 한 달 살기 예전에 했을 때와 다르게 그런 게 전혀 없었어요. 왜냐면 너무 바빴어요. 그러니까 바쁜 게 중요한 것 같거든요.
이번에
시간이
진짜.
남으면 지금 뭐
나는 위.
지나간 노숙자분이 자기 찍지 말라고 저희한테 시비 걸어가지고 우리 찍고 있는데 계속 아무튼
이상한 사람. 빨리 가자. 너무 무섭다.
우리 쫓아와?
쫓아 올라가. 빨리 도망.
맞아. 한 달 살기 얘기하고 있었지. 한 달 살기는 할 일이 없으면 좀 그 로망하고는 좀 다르더라고요. 저희도 이제 한 달 살기를 처음 한 게 우리가 리스본이었나? 부다페스트를 한 달 살기를 처음 했나?
한달 살기.
부다페스트에서 한 달 살기를 하고 리스본에서 하고 이스탄불에서 세 군데 한 달 살기를 해봤어요. 예전에 세계 막 다닐 때. 근데 부다페스트는 바빴어요. 그때 되게 일이 많았어요. 여기도 일이 좀 있었고 뭐 해서 정신없이 보냈는데 리스본은 딱 가니까 리스본은 뭐 친구 만날 일도 없고 뭐 딱히 그 주변에 갈 일도 없었고 그랬죠. 굉장히 루즈해지더라고요.
그렇지.
이스탄불도 그 전에 몇 번 가서 너무 좋아가지고 한 달 살기를 해야겠다고 갔는데 짧게 갔을 때하고 한 달 살기 할 때는 느낌이 다르기 때문에 한 달이 있으니까 이스탄불도 굉장히 루즈해지더라고요.
그리고 날씨도 추웠고.
날씨도 중요해요.
날씨가 중요해.
리스본하고 이스탄불은 날씨가 너무 안 좋았어요.
날씨만 좋으면 사실 막 싸돌아다니면 그네만 나오는데.
그래서 이제 한 달 살기 할 때는 좀 명확한 목표가 있으신 게 좋다. 뭐를 해야겠다. 이렇게 뭐 대단한 거 아니어도
날씨도 좋아야 한다.
날씨도 중요하다. 그렇습니다. 이쪽으로 갔나? 근데 이번에는 솔직히 한 달째 그 텀이 안 왔어요. 왜냐면 너무 바빴어요 제가. 그전에는 영상을 제가 안 하고 있을 때여가지고 더 할 일이 그렇게 많지 않았지. 뭐 블로그나 좀 적고 그림도 좀 그리고 뭐 이 정도였는데 지금은 영상을 유튜브 채널을 하니까 너무너무 바빠가지고
지금 여기서는 진짜 우리가 그 아까 외로워서 향수병 그린다고 했었잖아. 여기는 너 진짜 1분 1초가
너무 바빠요.
너무
여기서는.
바빠서
뭐 짧게 여행 가시는 분도 있고 한 달 살기를 하시는 분도 있고 그냥 길게 살아봐야겠다고 아주 장기 거주를 하시는 분도 있을 텐데 그런 경우에 다들 어떻게 향수병을 극복하시는지 말이 안 나오네요. 어떻게 향수병을 극복하시는지 그것도 좀 궁금해요. Number 4. 내리아가 내리아.
Hello.
Christopher.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Hello. Been a while.
How are you guys?
Nice to meet you.
친구. 아티스트.
Again?
여기는 데리아 집인데요. 제가 굉장히 좋아하는 집이에요. 너무 예쁘지 않아요? 요거는 이 옛날에 있던 거죠. 아, you can understand Korean.
Granny,
Sorry.
old
Granny,
Hungarian heating.
아,
Old Hungarian houses, you can see this heating.
does it turn on now? I can
on.
see a light. 와, 이거 되게 따뜻하다.
It's a bit hot, to be careful.
와우, 진짜 따뜻하다.
And it's
Very warm, very
It's
warm.
amazing, yeah, because I
Ah.
remember, I think we met when you guys
So
came
the
back.
Christoph decorated all house by himself. But
I mean, that it was this part, this was his grandfather's, but let's say carpets, this bookshelf, but he bought new furnitures which can fit here. These are new, but they fit with the old stuff.
이거 보세요. 천장 하이 실링. 이게 우리가 모두 꿈꾸는 그 유럽의 집 아닙니까? Dream house. Very
In Korea, you
European.
don't have this long.
In Korea, generally we live in apartment, so low ceiling. Can I see your gallery inside?
Also traveled a lot, I believe.
So you are doing workshop here?
Such a beautiful city.
Sometimes with small group friends on the table.
아, 여기는 데리아의 오피스예요.
Now Christoph is working here.
It's Christoph.
Christoph, yes.
So now Christoph's time. So if someone want to get drawing workshop, they can find your workshop online. 이거는 저희 친구 데리아의 작품이에요. Is it Turkish?
Not only in Turkey, in other
And
parts.
how did you find? Like you were just online looking for places?
I do either for small group for my friends here at home, or mostly it's in the Turkish Institute. Turkish Institute is posting when there is a registration.
Okay.
So then every month we open a new group.
So almost Hungarian people.
Mostly Hungarians, but each group has one or two. Let's say we have one person from UK, one from Croatia. Once we had someone from France.
Turkish Institute is District 2, Buda
No,
side.
in Andrassy Utsa.
Andres Uca.
Between Octagon
It's
and
very center.
Yes, next to the terror Museum of Terror.
So if I go to Turkish Institute, I can find many kind of workshop, including yours, right?
Yes, now they
so
have
every
other one.
month
There is
open?
calligraphy started now. There is
information.
marbling art.
Yeah, no, the oil
Paper.
and drop the
Yes, the water.
the watercolor
yes.
and the
Yes, it's Ebru. It's called Ebru courses, and they will do also with the wool. You know, you make bags or toys or carpet with wool.
I saw it on YouTube.
They just now starting.
It's interesting.
Doing it. Yes.
And also you are running knitting club.
Me and my friend Sabrina, she's from the US. So we love knitting and crochet so much. So we decided because so many expats friends around us. You know, we don't have relatives here. We don't have anyone whom we can learn
That's what I mean.
how to do this thing. We already know, but we wanted to share this. So every 2 weeks, every second week, we are organizing in different locations knitting club.
So where can I find the information about your knitting club?
Yes, on Facebook, on Instagram, Bloom Creative Studio.
There are so many Koreans here now in Budapest. We have to meet someone.
Yes.
So we have to communicate with local or other friends. So
That's why
it could be very good way to make friends here.
Absolutely. Every time so many people are coming from different countries, and first time we don't know each other. First time they just come. Of course, we have always some regular people who are coming all the time, but each time someone new from totally.
It's very nice. It's very nice way.
Yes.
Yes.
You should should also try one.
Yeah, I
Bring
will try.
thing as well.
Okay, we will try.
So, normal coffee or Turkish coffee?
Turkish coffee.
Strong.
Turkish
Strong?
Oh, then real classic Turkish coffee.
Ah,
I'm
classic.
real Turkish classic strong.
making. Christoph, you, which one you want?
Turkish
No,
as well.
Turkish.
And are you hungry? Because I made yesterday carrot cake.
That's why we're here. Carrot cake. This is my best favorite. Carrot cake.
Did you find like a Korean community?
Yeah, we
here?
saw that so big. Do you realize it's, you have a really big Korean community here in Budapest?
I guess actually Budapest Center is quite international.
Yeah,
I
very
think,
international. It's
like,
so international.
it's
So much investment here, so that's why so many Koreans coming
Oh,
every
okay.
day. We have an everyday flight here now.
wow, but that's good if you want to go back and forth. It's
Convenient.
convenient.
Very
Yeah.
handy.
So yeah, but it's good that Hungary, at least the center, becomes a bit more international because when I
Yes,
traveled before, when I was growing up, I missed this because I think it was much less international Budapest. I think last 5 years it became more and more.
Oh. I heard your grandfather made the bookshelves.
So because we had some of this furniture, this type, but he couldn't find the same bookshelf size which fits this whole wall. So we have a studio down in the basement where like a carpentry studio, and he was doing it.
None of them are in the same size. Sorry, you should choose whatever you want.
So many books.
Yes.
Who collected the?
I-
You or your grandfather?
Both, both, but of course most of these from him. He collected them. But yeah, it's impossible to read all of this in one lifetime, you know, especially in today's life. Because I feel like when he was younger or even growing up, there was no this Netflix, all these other things, all this music away. Like there are so many other things you.
Unfortunately, now we have too many things: Netflix, Disney Plus, and YouTube.
So many things to take.
자, 터키 커피와 이거는 크리스토퍼가 만든 캐럿 케이크입니다. 노 슈가? 노 슈가 케이크?
I love sugar. Oh my god. Just
You need an exam. You need an exam to.
So you now have a knitting class, so that's like a non-profit.
Yes, it's not. We
Events,
just meet, book a table
So
and a
socializing,
coffee. Yes,
yeah.
free, but you go there and you drink something. You pay whatever you drink or you eat.
니팅 클럽 같은 경우에는 데리아가 이제 운영은 하는데 이게 뭐 이렇게 프로핏을 하는 그룹은 아니고 그냥 모여서 같이 얘기하고 이제 우리의 고충을 나누고 앞에서 웃고 있으니까 내가 얼굴 빨개지네. 이 고충을 나누고 같이 이제 커뮤니케이션 하는 클럽이라고 생각하면 되죠. 그죠? For communication, not only for
Yes.
knitting. Yes.
Yes.
She can understand Korean now.
Yes, I understand. Just come.
이제 롱텀으로 왔는데 막 너무 심심하고 친구 여기 만들기 어렵다 하시는 분들은 제가 밑에 니팅 클럽 그 링크를 걸어 놓을게요. You have a social
Link Bloom Creative Studio if
you
they
want
follow.
some,
But if they want to check my work, it's Daria Ocak. I don't know how they can understand and write this down, but.
저희도 니팅 클럽을 한번 가봅시다.
미팅하고 그쵸
니팅.
가봅시다. 가가지고.
We all together. Christopher, you join?
Yeah, of course I can go.
Join.
By the way, the language to Korean, is it close to, let's say, Japanese or some of this?
All languages are quite different.
So it's not like the Slavic languages, because
Close
that's
to each other.
like you don't have this. And what about north
maybe
and
so-
south?
Oh, we can
Like,
understand.
understand.
We are same language.
Okay, language.
Just different dialect.
Uh-huh.
Maybe some vocabulary maybe we share together, but the language is totally just totally different. Like English Vietnamese. If you do you have a Bitcoin?
No, no.
Oh.
I mostly invest in stocks or ETFs.
Do you think Hungarian invest Bitcoin a lot?
Yeah, Hungarians invest in Bitcoin a lot.
A lot. Same as Korea. Koreans are crazy about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a kind of crazy trend in
Yeah, but it's a really crazy trend, and of course I am like when I read, I do understand why it's so popular in some way. I just don't fully understand when is the right time. How can I, invest and feel like, okay, I can hold this Bitcoin for 15 years because I'm sure it will go up in value. Because when you invest, you bet that it will go up in value and not down, but it's so volatile, which of course creates opportunities.
That's the nature of Bitcoin, so volatile.
I think even in Hungary, most people who has money, parents or my parents' friend, they understand real estate because it's a property, you see it, you buy it, and they don't feel the safety the same if they invest in stocks. Let's say, even though historically they have better or even made higher returns. But in Hungary also most people who has money are buying real estate as well instead of stocks, let's say, or even bonds.
Okay, what about Hungarian? Do you think typical Hungarian are interested in investment? Same as Korea?
No, not that much, because first of all, I think Hungarians because feel like comfortable, like they don't fully understand, they don't do enough research on it, and Hungarians rather accumulate cash and put it under their pillows, let's say, like this communist mentality, many of them, or just buy safety asset like government bonds or real estate.
Do Hungarians buy USA stocks here?
I mean, I do,
others
but I think we do, but the problem is that now Hungary and US had this political issue and US we had this law with Turkey, with America, that if we have a US tax, we don't pay double tax. We have this most countries with the world that you pay
double tax regulation.
This double tax regulation. And America, in response, it was political decision, they canceled this. So now it's more expensive to have, let's say, a dividend-paying stocks, because then you pay double tax on it.
Is it people buy a house as an investment here? Trend.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes they actually do it, even that they buy a place which is in bad condition. They renovate it. Because if you renovate a flat now in Hungary, I think a square meter is above 1 million forint, or around 1 million forint a square meter.
Okay, what about the cost of renovation?
If we hire people.
Oh, if you hire
people.
I think you can. I mean, I have a friend actually who just completely renovated a flat because he completely renovated nicely a flat which was above between 60-70 square meter. But my guess would be spending around maybe 10 million forint, maybe. Or I mean, it depends what, like if you need to change heating system or just painting, because just painting of course is cheaper. It depends what you consider from companies, and it was one company was doing it for 3 times more than the other. So
if you do something, you should work with Christoph Stack.
Yeah,
He's really experienced
into finding the right contract.
the cheapest, the most.
He will paint. He will paint as well. Actually, he painted this walls. Actually,
and he speaks English, so that's why it's good.
But is there a company here who specialize in renovating jobs?
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Because in Korean style, once you do renovation, we say like, okay, you have 1 month. And then I pay this one. Then the company have to finish it in 1 month.
Company guarantee the period.
Is it the same here?
It's possible, that you find.
You remember Sabrina's house? Destroyed the house in the countryside and built totally new.
They bought the land.
Yes, the garden, everything. So I think they agreed on a date. Construction company said we will deliver that time, but it took almost another 8.
I don't think they're gonna finish in the contract period.
And still they didn't. They moved in, but still they are workers are working almost 1 year.
Still going on.
Yes.
But it's a good idea to buy all the small flat and renovate.
Absolutely.
It's good timing.
You said that perfect. Yeah.
It's very sorry. I saw many beautiful buildings in Budapest in the street, but almost very damaged.
That's Hungary would be, even I would call the most beautiful city pretty much in the world. If like when you even in Rákóczi, you see all this very nice architecture, but it's falling apart, the buildings, because people don't have money to to renovate. But like Barcelona, it's a rich city, so all these beautiful houses, they are kept renovated and in very good condition. And I always imagine in my head, like as a dream, how Budapest would be so beautiful if all these buildings would be renovated or kept in good condition. And of course, like Hungary also had bombed because of all these bridges because of World War, compared to Prague, because Prague is also popular, but Prague was never bombed, or some of these other cities, but Budapest is still this nice, even though it was completely destroyed in history, not only once but more times. And you know, even this Szabadság Bridge was completely bombed and then rebuilt. So
I heard the German people there in Berlin, people prefer the old building built in the late 19th, early 20th century, because they think the building built in that time is really strong. So here too.
It's same, because it's even this, some of these walls you see that holding, it's real brick. So that my grandfather, he was with a hammer. Now when they build a new house, the material they put in it, it's much lower quality when they build. So this building is also built, I think, in very early 20th century, before World War I pretty much. So it's very old building, but also the material, at least big part, because I also heard some buildings they bombed, and when they rebuilt it, instead of using real brick, they used the destroyed material to rebuild the walls. So
recycling.
Recycling, kind of.
Okay, so also here Hungarian people like to prefer the old building, like built around 19.
I mean, it's hard to tell if they prefer. It has some truths definitely in it, that, you know, these older buildings has, you know, better.
What point Hungarian focus to invest house? For example, Korean prefer the area close to school, close to
metro station.
Oh yeah, it's all here. It's also for investments also, but also even for rent. When they rent, they always write like, okay, this close is this metro station, this close is close to shop. They always look for market and transport.
Human nature.
Laziness. Oh, it didn't work.
No, it didn't.
What do you see?
Or is it?
My future is bright or dark.
Ooh, there are interesting stuff here.
Tell
you
me
see?
the money.
I'm sure somebody would tell very good things about this here. Let's see yours. You have so many thoughts.
For sure.
You know, all these things like this
Me too.
in your mind. But here I see two people are meeting, and there's a big power, some a bit strong, somebody in the mountain helping you for something. Let's say. This is what I can.
In my mind, too many small thoughts, and
he's the small
his mind only two big ones.
Yes, only two people
Or
meeting for some eat and then go dance.
I mean, ETF is very long term.
Okay.
Thank you guys for coming.
See you in April.
And enjoy your next week.
Bye.
You will share the photos. Bye-bye.
오늘 향수병의 주제로 얘기를 하려고 그랬는데 친구를 만나가지고 수다를 엄청 떨었더니
향수병은 개뿔이 향수병.
향수병이고 나발이고 지금 이제 싹 없어졌어요. 외로운 기분이란 이제 있지 않아. 그러니까 친구를 만나는 게 좀 중요하고 여기서 이제 뭐 한국분을 만나시든지 아니면 뭐 이게 사람들하고 어쨌든 어울릴 수 있는 그런 어떤 자기만의 통로를 마련하는 게 중요할 것 같아요. 장기 거주를 하신다고 하면. 그리고 향수병 얘기하려고 그랬는데 투자 얘기만 또 엄청 하고 왔네.
아니 그러니까 이게 똑같은 거야. 향수병을 안 그러려면 친구가 만나서 공통된 투자를 이야기를 하잖아. 근데 또 우리 크리스토퍼는 또 투자에 관심이 많아서 우리 둘이서 투자에 대해서만 헝가리 그 부동산 관련돼서 뭐 이야기도 엄청 하고 왔는데,
물론 이제 크리스토퍼 개인의 의견이니까 뭐 모든 걸 대변한다고 말할 수는 없는데 그 현지인들이 어떻게 생각하는지 좀 궁금했거든. 그래서 그거를 좀 들어본 것 같아.
똑같네? 우리하고?
똑같네. 사람 생각하는 건 다 똑같아요. 저기 마트 가까워야 되고 지하철역 가까워야 되고 똑같네요. 오늘 원래 이제 계획은 친구도 만나고 이제 우리 한국 음식도 한번 먹어보고 이제 저희가 곧 한국에 갈 거기 때문에 사실 김치가 뭐 고프지는 않은데 그래도 오늘 내친 김에 우리 한국 음식점 한번 가보자.
가야지.
여기 부다페스트 여러분 한국 음식점이 엄청나게 많아요. 한국 식품 정도 엄청나게 많고 솔직히 말해가지고 먹는 거에 관해서는 뭐 딱히 그리울 건 없을 것 같은데 근데 좀 비싸긴 하잖아 한국 음식 외국이다 보니까. 여기는 미역국이 정말 미역국 나는 이렇게 김치 조금 나올 줄 알았는데 정말 미역국 먹었어. 밥이 고구마 그리고 한국 스타일과 다르게 기름기가 조금 많아요. 기름기가